Good morning, beautiful people. What is going on? It's been a while and we have missed you. We have a lot to talk about. The Bills are going a little nuts when it comes to their coaching staff. Joe Brady and his team in the front office have really decided to go completely berserk when it comes to replacing just about any and every coach on the depth, not the depth chart, but on the roster, so to speak. Just most recently, we have quarterbacks coach Bo Hardigree yesterday signed, coming from the same role in Tennessee, which he was for the last 2 years, I believe, 24 and 25 seasons. Bo Hardigree was the quarterbacks coach in Tennessee. Most recently, obviously, coaching Cam Ward. And just yesterday, I think it was yesterday or the day before, all these days are kind of blending in, forgive me. But just yesterday, they hired new wide receiver coach, Drew Terrell. And Drew Terrell has some longstanding history as well with some pretty big names. Most recently, Terrell came, from Washington in, I want to say 2022. Let me just double check this. And then after Washington, he went to Arizona to where he was coaching what a lot of people feel that they want to get their hands on in the Buffalo world, which is Marvin Harrison Jr. I don't know how high I am in the Marvin Harrison Jr. thing. I believe in my mind I would rather see, if we're going to go after, or if we think we have ties with Drew Terrell and some of the players he's coached in the past, I would rather take a look at the Terry McLaurin possibility because of his ties with him in Washington years back. That's just my gut or my, preference. I'm not crazy high on Marvin Harrison Jr. And honestly, at this moment in time, and I mentioned this on, like TikTok or something the other day, I'm not really too concerned with the longevity move, if I'm being honest. I know Marvin Harrison Jr. is, I believe, 23. This was only his second year. Next year is only going to be his third year in the NFL. But I really don't care if he's 23 versus a 30, 31-year-old. If they're producing, it doesn't matter to me how much time they have left to produce, if that makes sense. Because, again, we said this the other day, how long do you have left with Josh Allen? And if you waste Josh Allen's time here because you're worried about signing other young players when he is 30, you want to sign 23-year-olds versus 30-year-olds who are in their absolute prime, then I don't know. I honestly, to me, it's shame on you for thinking about years down the road when you're just overlooking or passing on from Josh Allen's absolute prime. So I'm not saying that's the reason that they would take Marvin Harrison instead of Terry McLaurin. I mean, Terry did have a little injury-riddled season this past year, so there's a lot of question marks there. But if we think that Drew Terrell, as a wide receiver coach, has some additional push to be able to bring over someone that he's coached in his career at the wide receiver position, I feel that we need to look at Scary Terry more than we look at Marvin Harrison Jr. That's just my take. It's tough to really give Marvin Harrison Jr. an enormous grade or a legitimate grade, I guess, because it is – that offense is not all that great. The quarterback's not all that great. So is it on Marvin Harrison Jr. why he hasn't produced to a Pro Bowl and or All-Pro type level? No, I don't think that's on him just yet. But we'll see about it. No bones about it. Good morning. How are you, man? Good to see you again, my friend. Thank you for hanging out. A lot to talk about. Like I said, we have the most recent, which is Bo Hardigree. And I got to tell you, so Bo Hardigree has had a career in the NFL for quite some time. And I'm not saying that I don't like the signing, but I am saying that I'm not thrilled by it. I am very happy about the Drew Terrell signing, the Jay signing. I love that. I really like both of the offensive and defensive coordinator positions. I think we spoke about that last time. I'm not blown away by Bo Hardigree, and because when you look at his career, if I'm being honest, it doesn't really excite me, the teams that he's coached. So let's take a look at this. Here, I'll pull this up so everybody can see this so we can look at it together. And you tell me whether you feel, something's blowing you away here. I guess my question on this move is I really don't know what made them do this. If I'm being honest, there's something that I don't know, which obviously is probably happens more all the time. Clearly, I'm not in the room. But here's Bo Hardigree's career. I mean, he starts off at LSU as a coaching intern. Okay, so he's got some LSU ties. Obviously that's got to have something, to do with this, you would think, with Joe Brady and his LSU ties. But that's as a coaching intern. I mean, he's not making any decisions. Maybe he was able to, I don't know, speak his mind from time to time. And Joe Brady, once he grew up a little bit, Joe Brady wasn't here 2010 or 2011 to 13, but maybe he still had some ties there. So Denver in 2014 as quality control. Chicago Bears 2015. Then quarterbacks in Miami Dolphins 2016, 17, and 18. Quarterbacks coach. What are we doing there? Right? Offensive assistant in New York for the Jets in 19 and 20. Offensive assistant for the Patriots in 2021. Quarterbacks coach, and then the interim OC, along with the quarterbacks coach for the Las Vegas Raiders in 22 and 23, and then the quarterback coach the last 2 years in Tennessee. So, I mean, was it Ryan Tannehill 2 years ago that had a pretty damn good year in Tennessee? I'm not sure, but I'm looking at these teams and his ties to the offense. I don't know. I'm not saying that he's not a good coach. I don't know enough about him, maybe, but I am saying that it's based on his history and his resume. Nothing saying, whoa, let's get this guy in the room immediately to me. But again, I'm just a regular dude, and I don't know anything that's going on in those locker rooms. So that's kind of the jury will, still out on that. And I hope that there's something that Joe Brady sees that I don't know about, because sometimes if you get on a roll and you just start making moves and it's all fun and everyone's loving you for the moves that you make, and you're almost building momentum to make these moves and changes, I guess what I don't know that it's totally necessary to continue. I mean, like, how far are you going to go is a question that I would have. Like, how many moves are you actually going to make? And are we to the point where we're making moves just to make moves? I'm not saying that we are, but I'm just saying let's monitor this, I guess is my point, right? Let's monitor the fact that a lot of these moves are being had, and often they're being made every day, it seems like now. There's only so many that we can actually make. But I just want to make sure that we are not making moves to make moves. Again, we'll monitor, right? I don't mind I actually like the Drew Terrell move, and I liked pretty much every other move up until this point. This one here, I'm not thrilled by it. It doesn't move me like the others have. I haven't really found much to get excited about, unless I am missing something, which is absolutely possible. I mean, there's no way that I know everything that these guys know. So if I'm missing something, good. I just don't want to go too crazy. Let's see. Yes, sir. Yeah. Spidey Munns, what's up, brother? How are you, man? Good to see you. What up? I was not too happy about the McDermott firing, but after having some time for emotions to settle, I like what I'm seeing with Brady and our coaching staff. Look forward to this offseason. We were just talking about that. Well, obviously, you're in here. I don't know how much you caught yet so far, but I agree with you. I don't want to say that I was upset about the McDermott firing. I was upset for him as a dude because he just seemed like a great guy, and he did a lot for Western New York and the Buffalo Bills and Bills Mafia. No question. There is a hurdle that was not being, cleared, and it's been quite some time. And I'm not saying it's his fault. I'm not taking a stance necessarily on that. Then when I heard Joe Brady's name, I was stunned, absolutely stunned. I'm not even saying I was mad. I just was like, holy that's the one? With all of these candidates and all of these interviews, that's the route that we went? Whoa, that kind of freaked me out. I was like, something's going on here. With his press conference and then some moves that he's made here, I have newfound life. I think we have some momentum. I don't know what you feel, Spidey. Well, it seems like you're kind of on the same page. It's kind of like, oh, okay, here we go. Yeah, we can do this. We can figure this out. We can make this happen. The boys in the locker room love that dude. Getting some new energy in that locker room, in that front office, in that building. New building, right? About to be brand new building. So you can't go in there stale or on your heels. You've got to be coming into that new building across the street ready to rock. So I kind of think we have that right now. But I'm with you. In the beginning, it was somber. It was, oh no, like this is our guy. McDermott needs to be the one to bring us to the Super Bowl, right? It just seemed that there was no other option. It had to be Sean McDermott. It had to be Sean McDermott to bring us to the promised land. He did everything else and got so damn close. So I understand that wall that they were talking about, Pagula, the proverbial playoff wall. I do understand it. And I'm not saying that making a move was a wrong decision. It did kind of freak me out, the decision that they made, though. Listen, everybody, just real quick, please make sure that you subscribe right now. If you're not, turn on that notification bell so you understand and you get notified every time we're getting online and we post a video. Keep you up to date on all Buffalo Bills and then some big-time happenings around the NFL as well. First of all, before we go forward, I just want to bring one thing up. I have to give credit where credit is due, okay? And this woman right here, I need to show you this. We need to talk about this. This has nothing to do with the Buffalo Bills, but this is an absolute must when it comes to covering this. Have to. Here we go. That is not what I wanted. Here we go. Can you see that? Yes, you can. This woman, Lindsey Vonn, a skier for the United States Olympic team, literally, and their words, oh my word, what is going on? This USA Today, boy, I got to find it different. Literally ruptured her entire ACL a week ago. I think it was in the trials for the Olympics. I'm not too sure. I haven't been following it too closely. But although she ruptured her ACL, she is now competing in the Olympics, like in the next couple of weeks, on a blown up ACL. Look at this. Lindsey Vonn revealed she had ruptured her ACL in her left knee during a January 30th, so 5 days ago, downhill crash, but said the knee feels stable and she is confident she can compete on February 11th. This is downhill skiing. These people are going, I don't really know what it is, but 50 miles an hour. I mean, it's fast. It's basically ice on skis that have wax and they're supposed to go faster. This woman is a freak in a good way. She's an alien. It's amazing. I have to give her some props. I had to go through that just for a brief moment. I know it has nothing to do with football or the Buffalo Bills, but that lady right there, Lindsey Vonn, has got to be given credit for the nastiness that she is showing. Imagine she comes out and wins on a ruptured freaking ACL. There she is, Lindsey Vonn. Stud. Absolute stud. Congratulations, Lindsey. And guess what, Lindsey? I'm going to look at the camera. I am glad you're on my team. Go USA, baby. Love you, Lindsey Vonn. Stud. No one's about it. After hearing about Kubiak being committed to the Raider job, I don't think he was ever actually in play for us. That said, I feel 100% we made the best hire based on available candidates. Okay. Yeah, I'm not sure about that. Meaning, I don't think that Kubiak made up his mind to go to Los Angeles or Las Vegas before the Bills gave the job to Joe Brady. That's my opinion. Because if Clint Kubiak was offered the Bills job, like if he was allowed to speak to the Bills, right? If the Seahawks were no longer in it and he was allowed to speak to the Bills 2 weeks ago, and the Bills offered him a job, there's no way that Clint Kubiak would say, "No, I'm good. I want to go to Las Vegas." I mean, maybe because he's young and he wants this new Mendoza dude and Ashton Genty and whatever it is, $150 million of cap space or what, and Max Crosby, try to get Max Crosby to stay because Max wants out. I believe he's made that quite apparent. So maybe, I guess, but how do you pass up the Bills gig? You know, unless it's just a long-term play for him, which it could be because he's so young as well. So I guess it's a possibility. But I just have a hard time believing that someone literally would rather coach the Raiders than coach the Bills. I just don't see that being feasible. But who knows? Weather, location, there's a million things that could possibly come into play. I didn't think Udinski was a good candidate, being only 30, never calling plays, and Dable the unstable is as well. I will say that I was actually high on Udinski. That I wanted Udinski over Kubiak, quite honestly, because I felt that where our issues have been, the Buffalo Bills, and I know we turned the ball over too much, and if we didn't turn the ball over this year, they might lose 2 games, and then they definitely are playing in the Super Bowl. Like, these conversations are completely different. And I like the fact that I was hoping that Udinski could bring in a fresh set of eyeballs onto a situation down in the fourth quarter when the offense just needs to put a game away. What I don't love is our clock management. We tend to score in the fourth quarter, no doubt. I think we actually score more points than any team in the fourth quarter in 2025. But clock management, to me, is where the Andy Reids of the world are separated from the Sean McDermotts. And I'm being dead serious. Now, Andy Reid obviously is more of an offensive mind versus Sean McDermott, defensive mind, so I'm not really comparing those two in that regard. But what I am saying is, and the Belichick's, clock management is so imperative at the end of the second quarter and the end of the game. I'm raving about this to my kids every time we watch football. You know, my sons are obviously, you know them, they're 11 and 9. So I'm raving about don't let the team get the freaking football with almost any time, anything more than 30 seconds at the end of the first half. Don't let the team get the football. Bring your drive down to where you need to bring your drive down to. Understand when to call your timeouts. Understand when to keep the clock moving. Understand when to get out of bounds. You know, all of these things that I don't know that McDermott had. I don't know that his game management and decision-making was as elite as is needed to get to the Super Bowl. That's what I was really looking forward to. But we have Joe Brady, and we'll see what he does. Dexy, what's up? How are you, man? Dexy, I'm going to tell you that I did some looking into, as I promised you, and as you brought up to me. And how in the world, Dexy, did I overlook Leo Chanel? I don't know. I think it was you, Dexy. Correct me if I'm wrong, but I'm pretty sure you're the one that brought up Leo from Kansas City. And I was like, who the hell are you talking about? Yes, and yes. Dude's a stud. I think he's 25, and he's free agent. And yes, it was you. Okay, I see your comment. Yes. That's probably the perfect fit for a Jim Leonhard run offense or defense. So unfortunately, he might be getting a little bit more attention than I would like. It'll juice up his market value, but I think that's absolutely a name, and I'm thankful that you had brought that up and showed my my lack of time. Speaking of time management, my lack of time to be understanding of all of the prospects and all of the free agents and or trade possibilities, because I actually have to freaking work. I mean, who the hell has to work, But thank you, sir, and I'm with you. Watch some film on this boy. He flies around. Absolutely flies around, and he can stuff it too. He's not like 215 pounds. I think he's listed at 250, and the boy can move and stuff the run. So I kind of like that. I'm not quite there, but I almost feel that he's too big for this, but he's almost like a strong safety, like a Troy Polamalu, the way that I watch him. Not quite as quick on his feet, but that's kind of the game that I think of. That's why I love Talanoa Hufanga so much. I love the guys that are not in the mold of, oh, this is a coverage guy. Oh, this is a run-stopping guy. How about you just do everything? How about you just be an all-around football guy, and you can make all the plays on the football field, sideline to sideline, stuff the run, throw somebody around, excuse me, fill a gap. I've been seeing wide receiver Concepcion. Yeah, as the Bills pick at 26, my big issue is KC. Is he on KC? He has drop issues, and that worries me. He was better this year, but I'd really be worried about. So I'm hearing the same thing, Dexy, and I don't know, because in the beginning there must have been something that happened at that either Shine Bowl or Senior Bowl that created him to lose some draft stock, because I almost feel like 2 weeks ago, and you tell me what you think, Dexy, and anybody else, I feel like he was mocked up to not even make it to 26 until about, I don't know, 3 or 4 days ago. And now I'm seeing him back into that as well. But I think we spoke about this, whether it's Rodriguez or the CJ Allen from Georgia. I think that's where the Buffalo Bills have to go first. Unless you get Chanel, right? And then you can go after wide receiver with a first pick. What do you think about that, Dexy? I'm not huge on Concepcion either, because I don't think that there's really many wide receivers in this year's draft class at all that should garner first-round status and money. So I'd almost rather look at that edge Jack Joker hybrid role or linebacker first, because they're kind of stacked this year with talent in those positions compared to wide receiver. Now, I'm not saying there's no good wide receivers, but I just don't feel that there's enough talent to jump up and take somebody in the first round when you maybe don't have to. Kind of my point. I don't think so either. He's not. He's not at all. And I think we might have spoken about this the other night as well. That was like one of my favorite also, because we're really lacking at some edge here. Now, again, depending on what Jim Leonhard will actually end up doing with the defense will obviously sway also, I'm sure, how some of the drafting goes, and then clearly how the trade block and the free agency will also maneuver around him. But I'm with you. I don't think that he is going to make it whatsoever. I think that let's take a look here. I think that he's ranked 8th out of the edge rushers. This is a stacked edge class, isn't it? This year. I see him I was wrong. I see him at 7th. Ranked 7th for edge. Where do I have this projection here? I don't think he makes it. No, he's not going to make it to 26. Now, do you go? Do you trade up for him? Do you try to trade up for him? I don't know. I doubt that they will, because they're going to have to. I think they're going to use draft capital for a trade with a wide receiver. That's my get. That's my gut. Excuse me. What the Bills will do. Derek Moore in the second round will be next favorite edge target. Yes. Yeah, I saw a bunch about him too. And this is kind of where my head is at as well. I think you can get more value actually in the later rounds if you're not an edge, or if you're not if you're not in a position to take an edge or a backer early. I don't think that this draft class does much for me as far as the big money guys. But it's hard to pass on edge rushers in the NFL anymore because of the way that the game has gone. It's so important. It is so important to have good pressure on the quarterback, and it usually obviously starts with these gentlemen here. But I don't think that TJ Parker makes it. Again, here's my first. I'm going to bring this up for you guys. I'm going to tell you where I feel Buffalo Bills should go, and it actually kind of lines up with a lot of the mock drafts that are out there, but I'm actually in agreement that I think they should do this. And I think this is how they get something done on draft day. Okay, where is he? Where is he? All right. I don't know what happened there. Sorry. Right here. 26th pick the Buffalo Bills have. And this man will be there. I hope, because this is what I want. I want CJ Allen to be drafted in the first round. If he's there, I think he will be. Decent, pretty darn quick linebacker. But as you can see, 6'1", 235, a 4.55 40. We'll see more. Hopefully he comes to the the combine. But he's 20 years old, so he's not one of these old vets in college. Here's his grades overall. He's an 86. Offensive tackling 91, pass rush 74, run defense 97. Coverage 58. I understand that this is a pretty big deal. In that new defense, you would like to see some coverage from their linebackers. However, I think Dorian Williams, who will stay, will be a better coverage guy. But we don't have, and Terrell Bernard, who's probably going to stay, because I don't know if there's any other options for him really with his new contract. And honestly, Terrell Bernard might fit this scheme better than he does McDermott's. That means we're not going to rely on Terrell Bernard as much to fill gaps and come downhill and stop the run. But this could be our guy. Okay. So this could be that middle, and then you allow Bernard and Dorian to run those, Mike's Wills, whatever you want to call them, the jargon, and then hopefully the Hoyts of the world and the Russos and a little bit of maybe Matt Milano if he stays, but I hope he does. I hope they can restructure him again, but then Matt Milano, they can do that like Joker role, which is a little bit of both, or that Jack role, whatever you want to call it, a little bit of both, that hybrid system. Maybe some on on the line and a 3-point or a 2-point. Maybe some back off the line as an actual linebacker, the edge, mix. I think a big thing is Hoyt and his health moving forward, and I'm really hoping that he'll be better off than we originally thought. I'm just going to go over some of the benefits with him and then some of the weaknesses, and then we'll continue to move on. I want to get a little bit more into the coaching staff and the actual free agents and or trade potentials of the offseason. And we got to hit on the main topic, which is our wide receiver core and what's going to happen there. So Put the tape on against any SSE running, and you will see Allen flying downhill with rare decision. Okay, here we go. This is what we were talking about. Rare decisiveness, filling gaps, is exactly what we were saying, before blocks can develop, and meeting backs in the hole. We didn't have much of that, right? Until Shaq Thompson lost his mind on the team and just went crazy in week, whatever that was, 14 or 13 or 15, something around that time. Wraps up and finishes with textbook technique every single time. One of the teams with the highest missed tackle rate were your Buffalo Bills. So that's something we need to address. And we gave up more explosive runs than anybody because of our lack of tackle. These are my reasons for this guy, for CJ Allen. And I didn't write this. This is a scouting report. Takes on pulling guards and lead blockers with leverage and proper hand placement, holding his ground at the point of attack rather than getting washed out of his gap. Huge. Covers ground sideline to sideline at 4.55 speed, which shows up when he chases down. Yeah, stretch runs or rallies from the backside to make stops. Okay, so we can kind of see what this is about. Natural communicator, ball awareness, and zone coverage is improved. Okay, although he doesn't have a great coverage rating, seems as if he's getting better. Okay, we got to look at overall, right? We can't just go through the positives. Here's his weaknesses: hip stiffness limits his ability to flip and run with athletic tight ends. Okay, or backs on angle routes, creating separation that better athletes will exploit. Okay, fair enough. Not our coverage guy. Gets caught flat-footed against quality play action, taking a half step forward before recognizing the pass and leaving soft spots in the middle of the field. Okay. Lacks the pop and physicality to consistently stack and shed bigger blockers. Offensive lineman can absorb his contact and ride him out of the play. Okay. So if they get to that next level, he can't just rip these guys off at a ridiculously high level. Therefore, if he's filling a gap against another running back or fullback or something, he has decent or very good success. If it's a next level blocking scheme or assignment from an offensive lineman, not so easy for him. Okay. Man coverage assignments against NFL caliber receivers threat will be a test. Yep. All right. Now, that's something to pay attention, though, too, because unless we have enough linebackers out there, which a 3-4 would represent, Jim Leonard runs man-to-man defense more than anybody in the NFL last year. I know he wasn't the DC, but his defensive backfield was put in man-to-man defensive assignments more than anyone in the NFL. So that could be a thing. If we run more man-to-man, maybe CJ Allen's not their guy. He's my guy. That's who I want. And we'll also, things could completely change at any moment in time. But you're also not going to find the perfect football player either. I mean, let's be real. You're not just going to be perfect. So there's going to be negatives from anyone, right? Okay, let's move on. Let's get to a few more comments here. Maybe some questions. I want to make sure I stay up with this, and then we're going to go on to the wide receivers, boys and girls. Derek Moore, okay, we spoke about that. I'm more on the trade downside to get more picks on day 2 and overhaul the defense because there's a lot of guys I like at 26. Excuse me, not a lot of guys I like at 26. Dexy, I'm agreeing with you there on the 26. And I think I just read CJ was one of the few guys I do like. Okay, gotcha. So we trade down. And what do we get, right? So we give up our 26th for what would that be equivalent to? It'd have to be, would somebody give 2 second-rounders for that? Or do you try to throw in a piece of the puzzle as far as personnel goes, like a body, or just draft capital? Not sure. Not sure, but I don't think I hate the idea either. Because just like in the past, right? 26th, and I'm sorry to say, it's even magnified more this year, in my opinion, with the draft, but 26th is not a first-round draft pick. Once you get past 15, usually, you're not really talking about first-round guys. I said that wrong. Let me digress on that. I'm not saying that if you're drafted at 20th, you're not a first-round guy. What I'm saying is if you're drafted under 15, those are usually the ridiculously highly touted guys, the ones that there's trades being made to go get, the ones that are supposed to be immediate, Pro Bowlers, although we know what Pro Bowl means anymore. And then after that, though, Keon Coleman, he was basically the 26th to 28th pick. I mean, he was the first pick of the second round. That's why I think he was put in a position to lose, if I'm being honest. They were asking too much of him. He was not picked at number 8, okay? That's where I think the big-time guys are, overall. Obviously, there's outliers to everything. But overall, I think 26th is almost a damn second rounder. So if you can get 2 more second rounders for that, or, an additional 2 and maybe a third, or 1 and a third. I agree, Dex. I think the depth game in this draft is better off than the high-end, level 1 guys. Okay, if no bones about it, if we're going to trade our first-round pick for a wide receiver, it has to be for an already established veteran. Trading up to get at one of these rookies in the first round is not add in. Okay, here we go. An immediate needle mover. I totally agree with that. If you're going to get a body, you need to get somebody that's established for a first-round pick. Yeah, absolutely. Now, like we just said, is it pick 14? No, not even close. And the other teams are going to feel the same. But if you do get a body for that pick of 26, you need to get somebody, right? You need to get somebody for sure. Now, you're not going to get if they do a pre-trade, I mean, here's the thing. Some of these guys out there, right? The A.J. Browns of the world, the Justin Jeffersons of the world, I was going to say CeeDee Lamb, but I meant, oh my goodness, from Miami, Jalen Waddles of the world. They're going to create at least a first rounder, right? And maybe a C minus player, and maybe a second rounder as well. Like, they're going to garner a whole bunch of attention. Justin Jeffersons of the world are even more. I don't think A.J. Brown is all that crazy, to be honest with you. I think Justin Jefferson is going to bring a hell of a lot more in terms of value than A.J. Brown will or would in the event that he gets put out there on the market. I mean, we thought we knew what Jalen Waddle was worth, but then Brandon Beane just recently came out and said that he was the high bidder, but he never even got a counteroffer. We thought Miami said, if you give me a 26 first rounder, then we'll give you Jalen Waddle. And Beane said, no, we're going to give you a 27 first rounder, and that's it. Take it or leave it. And then the Dolphins said, no, thanks. That's what we were made to believe. But then just recently, Beane was on an interview and said, inter-division attempt to get a player went like this. We gave him an offer. We never heard back from them again. And then we found out later that our offer was the best offer that they had received. They just simply never got back in touch with us. Why? We don't know. Was it not a good enough offer? Did they just get cold feet? Did they not want to do this interdivisionally, or what? He said we never found out because they never got back in touch with us. We were pretty damn positive that people were pissed. I was mad at Brandon Beane. Hearing what I heard, which is you would give him a 27 first rounder, but not a 26 first rounder for Jalen Waddle before the trade deadline, you dummy. But if what he's telling us is true, then I can't blame the guy. If you don't get a counter, if they don't say anything to you, there's no negotiations. You're just throwing something out there to see if it sticks and as a starting point. And I do this for a living, by the way. Well, not so much anymore, but I used to. I mean, I still do, but I don't get involved with the day-to-day as much. Negotiations is my point. We negotiate all day. I literally have made a living negotiating. So that's how it works. Somebody's got to be the first person to start something and throw something out there. And then it's not a negotiation until both parties are trying to come to an agreement. There's not much Brandon Beane can do if he's telling us the truth. And if he threw something out there and the other party never came back to him to even speak about the offer, we can't hold Brandon really accountable. Very hard to get on his ass if what he says is the truth. We're going to need more than one wide receiver during this offseason. Yes, we need a wide receiver one, but I'll also take Michael Wilson for the cheap. I take him over Marvin Harrison. Okay. So Michael Wilson, I would believe, would be, so to speak, cheaper than Marvin Harrison, right? Undoubtedly. And being that he is coming from the same place, we have, the in with Michael Wilson, just like we do Marvin Harrison, right? With Drew Terrell. We were kind of talking about that in the beginning. So, yeah, maybe that'll work. But I still think, and I think you're getting at this also, Spidey, I think that we still need, and I think that Brandon Beane will still go after a true like one stud. And you want to know something? I don't know if you guys are, whoever is out, hanging out with us right now. I don't know if you guys are on TikTok, but I'm going to bring something up here to you. And I know, we might have spoke about it in the beginning, or didn't we? I'm going to bring something up to you. Bear with me here, because I might be going out on a ledge. But if we're going to try to tie coaching staff into people, I think, yeah, we did speak about this in the beginning. So if you're here in the very beginning, bear with me. This is where I think I would rather go. Come on, where is it? There it is. Gonna share this. You guys tell me what you think. You tell me what you think. This is kind of one of these conspiracy theories. Like I said, we're going to be doing this all off season until we actually get some reports on something. But this is where I'm going. As long as he is healthy. As long as he is healthy, which we don't know because he had a couple injuries, but let's be real, so did his quarterback. And other than his quarterback, his starting quarterback that got them to the NFC Championship last year, that team is an absolute zero. Okay, so I don't know if Terry McLaurin might have just been kind of, this ain't for me, boys. This is not for me. So if we're going to make a move based on coaching staffs that were just hired, again, I might be just going down the conspiracy theory black hole. Okay, fine. We got nothing but time, right? We got 6 or 7 months before the season starts. So we got nothing but time. This is where I'm headed, and I'll show you why. So here's what Terry McLaurin is due. Yeah, I know. He's going to be 31, okay? And I was talking about this in the beginning. I don't care. Because if he's healthy, Terry McLaurin is 31, is better to me, than Marvin Harrison's 23, 24. If healthy. And you know who was over there was Mr. Drew Terrell, wide receiver coach of the Buffalo Bills currently. Was in Washington a couple of years ago and has been labeled as an enormous part of Terry McLaurin's development throughout his career. I didn't make that. That's a quote in an article. I'll see if I can find it. I'll put it up here. So I'm saying that is not me making things up. And if we look at this next year, this is Terry. Yes, he signed a 3-year, $97 million contract. But next year, this is what's due. $2.9 million base salary. Then there was an out for him after next year, fine. And then you got 23.3 and 25.6. But remember, keep in mind, these signing bonuses all these bonuses are on the team that gave him the contract. Okay? So Terry McLaurin would literally cost us about nothing next year. And because what I said in the beginning, and this is just my take, you guys let me know what you feel, but because of what I said in the beginning, which is I don't care so much right now about youth. I'm not saying I'd rather a 36-year-old wide receiver because he had a great career. Now he's going to catch 2 balls a game. I mean, we have people to do that. We have Josh Paul, have Mr. Elijah Moore, right? We have these guys that can catch 2 balls a game for 12 yards. No, we need an impact guy, but I don't care whether he's 31 or 22, 24. I really don't care. If he's still playing at an impactful level, a high impactful level, regardless of age, I say we need to do this and we need to do this now. And I'd much rather Terry McLaurin, and I'd feel much more confident in Terry McLaurin than I would in Marvin Harrison Jr., unless the only thing is, again, I don't know everything, but these gentlemen might be able to tell us a lot about what's going on that I, Dustin Coldfront, whatever, don't know about. I just think that's our guy right here. That's our guy right here. If we're going to be putting in the conspiracies between the coachings, the new coaches and the players, and it's something that can be restructured after next year. And then if you win a Super Bowl, okay, see you later. Honestly, see, somebody will pick them up. Somebody will pick them up. I don't know. What do you think? What do you guys think about that? Now let's go into more of the reality stuff after we take a few more of these comments. Oh shoot, I need to start catching up on these. I apologize, everybody. Dexy, I don't think trading for a wide receiver happens unless you can revisit the Waddle trade because I don't want AJ, I don't want Addison, and Jettis doesn't feel realistic unless Vikings are blowing it all up. Fair. I'm not a huge AJ guy. Me either. Addison, I'd rather Terry over Addison. Justin Jefferson, 100% I'd want Justin Jefferson. On the 1,000%. But, to your point, Dexy, what's he going to be? 3 first-rounders? Does that make sense? I don't know. Like the thumbnail represents on this video. Does everybody eat? Do we have the pieces? Do they not shake it up at all? I don't know, but I'm kind of with you there. I would absolutely take Jettas immediately. I can do without A.J. Brown forever. Now, I actually said this after the trade deadline, immediately following the day that we were stunned that the Bills got nothing before the deadline. I remember putting it out there. We can find it somewhere on social media. That I think I even guaranteed that during the offseason will be a Buffalo Bill and for the 2026 season. I still think Brandon Beane goes back to that, and I think that's the most realistic play. Because obviously what's going on in Miami, that's a rebuild, clearly, from the GM all the way down. So that is, I think they just launched Tua, right? And they're going to be paying him a whole hell of a lot of money to not for them. So I think that's most realistic. Yes, Mighty Men's are drafting. David Highland, how are you, David? Allen proved we don't need to sell the farm for a true number 1. Okay, he did. I will say 2024 was a heck of a lot better than 2025, but we don't know why these turnovers came. We don't know why these quarterback-generated sacks or quarterback-faulted sacks came from. Is it because Josh Allen was getting – I've heard multiple things. Is it because Josh Allen was getting bored and he is a stallion and he needs to run and he needs to rip it and he needs to throw the ball 50 yards, 60 yards downfield? If he doesn't, he gets bored. So he was just literally trying to overdo it because he was sick and tired of just little screen passes and 5-yard curls. I guess it's a possibility. Was it because the defense is out there in the NFL, had ample time to get film enough on the 2024 season and understand how to, work off of that and put that to bed by the Buffalo Bills offense? That's a possibility as well. Many question marks, but at the end of the day, it's turnovers. And at the end of the day, it's Josh Allen. Now, the one thing that you can say about the talent, though, on the outside and in the wide receiver room is you do have a Dalton Kincaid, even though he was hurt, and multiple times and for entirely way too long. And I wasn't thrilled that he's playing in the Pro Bowl, the flag football game. I'd rather him bend into that scooter right next to Micah Parsons, for those of you that watched. But that man led the NFL. I believe he was number one in the NFL, if not top five. I don't want to make a false claim, but top in the NFL, including wide receivers, with yards gained per route run, with over 2.5, I believe. So that tells me it can't just be Josh Allen, although a lot of it is, but it can't just be Josh Allen. And there has to be something that is said for it being a talent issue out there. Because if Dalton Kincaid can lead the NFL in yards gained per route run, how do all the wide receivers just produce basically nothing all year? That's questionable to me. And that's why I led with that's what I wanted to talk about mainly on this video, okay? I don't want to blow up anybody, but I do want to have the conversation about who can produce, why they didn't produce, and what will the wide receiver room look like moving forward. Alan proved to me we don't need to sell the farm. True number. Oh, yep, same thing. I'm willing to trade our 27th first, 27th fourth, 28th fourth, and Taron Johnson. First, fourth, and Taron Johnson. Okay. Oh, are you talking, Dexy, about Jefferson? I think he'll be multiple first rounders. I don't know that Minnesota would do that, is my point. I don't think they would. Although I would sign up for that with Minnesota and Justin Jefferson right now. Where's the contract? I'll find a pen. I have a pen right here in my bag. Oh, okay. All right. For Waddle. Gotcha. I don't think it would take that much. 2/4, a slot corner or nickel corner, whatever you call it, and a first. I don't think it would take that much. But maybe because they're interdivision, maybe it would. But I don't think so. I don't know if I would do all that for Waddle. I don't know. Maybe. I agree. I don't think Miami was ever actually willing to play ball with us. Well, yeah, that's what he made it seem. And they could have just been testing the waters to see what the market of somebody was. And that makes sense. You can't blame them. It's business. But that's the way Brandon made it seem, as if they didn't even get back in touch with him. Alan proved we don't need to sell the farm. Move ball at will against two good Ds in the – well, this is true. This is absolutely true. David Highland, this is a great point, okay? And I want to say that regardless of what we feel about this wide receiver core, crew, group, whatever you want to say, the Bills still scored the third or fourth most points in the NFL with the third or fourth most touchdowns scored. Yes, they had a great rushing offense, but why would that go anywhere? James Cook's locked in. The majority of that offensive line is locked in. And somebody that I follow, his name is Kevin, just put out a video to show the distinct possibility that McGovern and or maybe even Edwards both could be restructured to actually save money for the Bills if they're willing to do so. So maybe this offensive line doesn't get blown up as much as we thought either. But it's still an extremely potent offense. And against Denver, 30 points. It's a lot of points. 27 against Jacksonville. That's a lot of points against two defenses that are supposed to be top tier, top echelon. Now, nobody's giving the Bills this credit. This is my point. So this is kind of like my oxymoron thing, or my good cop, bad cop deal. Yeah, the wide receivers don't have talent based on the point with Dalton Kincaid putting up enormous numbers, but why didn't the wide receivers? But then you look at it as, well, why does everybody say that the New England Patriots are the greatest team in the world? Because they just beat the top, three of the top five defenses in the NFL 3 weeks in a row. Well, they scored about 11 points total. No offense, but Drake May didn't do anything. Did he turn the ball over? No. But did he even attempt to do anything? No. So I don't like, and this is not a knock on Drake May or the Patriots. I mean, obviously, I'm not a fan of either one. I mean, I'm a fan of good football, but I don't like either one of these. But the reality is, the Bills literally literally hung 30 points against the best defense, and no one's saying that the Bills' offense did anything spectacular. And they turned the ball over 4 times. Actually, was it 5? Jeez, I can't even remember, and I don't even want to. 2 fumbles by Allen. It's either 1 or 2 interceptions. My goodness, I can't even remember. And then James Cook fumbled. So 4 or 5 turnovers. They still hung up 30 points, and they should have won the game. So yeah, this offense is not shit. You know what I'm saying? It's just not. I don't care what anybody says. You can't tell me otherwise, really, either, because it's not real. It's not real at all. Tom Brady, what's up, Tom Brady? Trade for Terry, Higgins, Chase, etc. Terry McLaurin, Higgins, Chase. Yeah, I think that's what they're going to try to do. I think they're going to try to do something crazy. And quite honestly, those last 2 on that list, big money. Because, well, let me find. I'm going to find. I don't think that T. Higgins is quite far behind. T. Higgins is getting damn near as much money as anybody, and he's a 2. He's a 2. Let's see. 4-year, 115. Okay, so T. Higgins is as such here. I mean, that's a great point. I mean, T. Higgins, I like more than I like T. Higgins more than a lot of people. A lot of players, actually, I'm saying. So T. Higgins next year is due $10.9 million. What was Terry's? 2.3, something like that. I believe it was 2.3. But he just got into, these get real big over the next few years. 4-year, $115,000, and Terry's only signed through 27. T's through 28. But again, when you make a move like this, a lot of restructuring happens, right? There really is. There's a lot of restructuring when anybody signs up or gets signed through free agency or even a trade. So, it doesn't mean that it's going to look exactly like that, even if you go out and get somebody new. But I don't mind T. Higgins. I think he is a wide receiver 1. I have a car idea. What would that cost in your opinion? Well, it's going to cost at least a 2. Oh, you mean like what would we have to give up to get him? Is that what you mean? No bones about it? Because we saw what his contract read, but what would we have to give up? I think is what you're asking, but verify that for me. I know everybody just about has an injury history, but it does sketch me out to bring in previously injured players. Terry missed a good bit of games last year. Not sure what his injury was, though. It was something to do with like I think it was a quad hip, which for a wide receiver is no good if it's that bad. And you're right, Spidey. I honestly didn't get that far into it either. And I just took the easy route in prefacing with, if healthy, do your diligence, make sure the man's healthy. But there's almost nobody that's never been hurt. It's really hard to find those people that have never been hurt in the NFL too, right? Commanders have no reason to trade him, or they'd be punting on Jay. Yeah, I don't disagree with that, but I don't know that Jaden Daniels is a flop or not. And I think Terry McLaurin, knowing that his season or his career is just like Josh Allen's, not over with, but on the back half. I know Jaden Daniels proved that he was a legitimate quarterback. And then he got hurt and injured. I totally get it. But I don't know that the Commanders are a perennial playoff and Super Bowl contending team. I don't think that they are. And someone would have to speak to Terry and ask him what he feels. Only way I'm cool with AJ if he only takes a second-round pick to get, like, rumors are saying, because at that point, why not? Oh, well, Dexter, you're reading my mind. I almost said this to you earlier. I hate AJ too. If we're giving AJ elite wide receiver money and giving away elite wide receiver capital, whether it's draft or bodies. If you could take a flyer on a guy for a second-round pick that obviously has an all-pro type career, roll with it. And then if you don't like him, see you later. Or if he's an idiot, like he's proven that he could be. See you later. I agree. If we get AJ for a second rounder and that's it, I will probably be rocking an AJ Brown jersey and hoping that he just reinvigorates his mentals and happens to like football again. And because it doesn't seem like he does lately. It seems like he hates the game of football and he hates being around that team, and hopefully it's the team, right? But he just it's crazy to me. Like, he hates what he does. And believe me, I've been there, and that sucks. Ethan, hope everybody's doing good. If you haven't subscribed yet, please do so. Oh, yes. Yeah, well, you got to subscribe. Thank you, Ethan. You're always – I forget about this stuff. Yeah, where are we at? 196. Yeah, everybody in here, subscribe immediately. It's free. Please, immediately. And like the video, too, because I think that helps. I say this every time. I have no idea how all this stuff works, but you got to subscribe for me. Appreciate you being in here, hanging. Subscribe and like the video, and tell all your friends. Get them in here and tell them to subscribe as well. Thank you, Ethan. Good to see you, brother. We need a younger Cooks. Just look how much the deep ball opened up with the old man. Oh, I know. Instantly, even the first few games when he dropped the deep targets that he received, they were there. He was spreading that defense out. McCole Hardman. Dexy, what do you think about McCole Hardman? I'm not saying he's the answer, but I'm saying the minute that he showed up also, he got a deep target, dropped it against Tampa Bay, I believe, is the one game he came back, and then he got hurt and he fumbled the punt return and everything else. But right away, deep target, kind of right in his basket, he just dropped it. Instant, you can stretch a field. Man, can big things happen. Brandon Cooks has proved that 100%. First of all, Brent, and this is Colt, this is my take. Brandon Cooks is a must stay on the Buffalo Bills. Not saying he's the deep guy that's going to catch 50 balls this year for, 850 and 6 touchdowns. I'm not saying that. Brandon Cooks needs to stay in the Buffalo Bills for so many reasons. And mainly, to me, the veteran presence that is necessary to keep these guys up, especially if we're going out and getting a big-time number one receiver. And let's not forget that Brandon Cooks also played under an offensive coordinator who is our new offensive coordinator. So his time in New Orleans, Brandon Cooks played for Carmichael when he was the OC out there. So I don't think that Brandon Cooks is going anywhere, and I'm happy about it. I really am, because I don't think he's going to cost us that much money. I think he wants to be around this team. And like we said about him the last time we were on this together, he put on social media, run it back, Buffalo. Love you guys. Run it stinking back. So I'm going to pull up the quote exactly and tell me, what does everybody think about Brandon Cooks staying on the Buffalo Bills? Again, not as the option, right? I'm not saying as the number one wide option deep downfield, but just to be in that wide receiver room as a veteran presence and to keep these balls. And he still can play football. He's still got football left in him, clearly, because he was only here for 6 weeks or whatever. And he was a third down target. He was the only guy to stretch the field like all year. Keon had a play or two as well. But I want to find this. I don't know which one it was here. As we talk, I'm going to be looking. I'm going to find his quote. I think it was on Instagram. It might have been on X, but I think it was on Instagram with Brandon Cooks saying to run it back. So, what do you guys feel about Brandon Cooks? Please, if you haven't, tell me exactly what your thoughts are, and if he should stay or go. No bones about it. Yeah. What would we have to give up for McLaurin? Those injuries might actually help him at the moment, because his most recency bias season was not all that great. Now, that said, though, I think he's worth, if AJ Brown is worth a second rounder, then McLaurin might be worth like a third rounder. a third-round draft pick. Or maybe a third and a fourth. I'm in all day with that. Now, he might warrant, his agent might need to get a second and a fourth. And quite honestly, if he's healthy, I'd do that too. I don't think McLaurin's worth the first after his injury season. Before that, if you ask me after 2024, I'd say he's worth a first and a third, maybe. Or maybe a first and a fourth. But I'm taking it. If it's a third and a fourth, or a third only, I'm in. I don't know if you said it or not, but do you think you'll be streaming the Super Bowl? If not, that's okay as well. Probably. Yeah, I think we will, because my son will want to do it as well. I think we're going to do that for sure. My idea is re-sign Cook and draft Eric Rivers from Georgia Tech because he could be his replacement and Cook teaches him. Okay, so is that the deep guy, deep ball threat, Eric Rivers? And he's going to be, yeah. He's going to be what? Where's he projected? Draft status. He's a day 3. Is he a day 3 guy? Fourth round. So 4. Okay. Projected 4th round. What? Wait a minute. Dexy. I'm seeing. No. Okay, so he's 1983. Yeah. Okay. Yep. He's a speed dude, right? 4.38 is what I'm seeing. Yeah, so he's a good. That's right. I'm good with that for sure. And this is what I'm talking about. I even think Brandon Cooks with another offseason with Keon Coleman will get him healthy or mentally healthy. And Terrell Shavers, all of these younger dudes could use Brandon Cooks around without question. And he's not going to cost you that much money. Keep the man around. He obviously has shown good enough cohesion with Josh Allen, right? I mean, Josh Allen had how many 25, 30-yard air balls downfield that were completed before Brandon Cooks showed up? Not many. Yeah, I'm with this. Oh, wait, I missed one. I'm with you. Ted Hurst, third round error. Yes. Okay, 5th or 6th. Day 4 or 5. Yeah. And he's a speed dude. So I'm so in with that. It doesn't have to be the number 1. Right? That's just the outside guy for the love of the game routes out of Eric Rivers, I'm talking. Ted Hurst, I think, is much more feasible to actually give you 70 catches. 60 catch. I mean, I know depending on the offense, Khalil's going to eat up a lot of the targets, but Ted Hurst is much more of a every down potential to get the football guy than Eric Rivers is. It could be Spidey. Yeah, so what he's saying, I was reading it. Sorry. Wide receiver 1 is also a distraction. Last season we added Cooper. Our passing game opened up more. Just having that potential threat helps, even if you're not getting the ball. Exactly what we were just talking about. Yeah, like what Dexy's comment is. Now, Amari Cooper was at one point in his career a true wide receiver 1. He wasn't necessarily when he showed up to Buffalo last year. But, yes, it's the idea that the threat is there that makes a lot of people – a lot of defenses just have to pay attention and have to put some attention on said player because of the threat. Not that he is doing all of this and this massive production every day in and day out, but he can, so you need to put your attention on him, which then opens up that intermediate pass game. And that's absolutely what I think is necessary completely. I think Mecole Hardman did a great job the first game he came back just because of that. I also think that clearly Brandon Cooks has done a tremendous job of that as well. And Brandon Cooks is actually connected on some deep balls as well, especially the one that he connected in Denver. That was my referee joke. The catch, baby. I know Cooks can make plays, but he seemed to struggle with handling the football after the catch. He needs to work on ball control. No doubt. No doubt. He's not a strong-handed guy. He's not a contested catch guy, really. But again, if he was all of these things, then he would be a true wide receiver 1, right? And we probably wouldn't have been able to sign him. He mostly goes in the 5th round, sometimes falls in the 6th. I never see him go in the 4th. See, I thought, okay. Dexy, I'm you've earned my trust, sir, on that Chanel thing. So I'm totally with you. The only thing that I really remembered about Rivers, which I am just trying to verify here as I go, is the speed. Like he's a top taker offer. That's terrible English, but top taker offer. Ted Hurst has a floor of Alec Pierce and a ceiling of Pickens. So if you think his floor is Alec Pierce? And is that what scouts are saying? Holy moly. Because Alec Pierce is one of my short window targets for free agency. Because I believe Alec Pierce is a free agent, is he not? Yeah, he is. And he's not an extremely high volume guy, but his touchdown to target ratio is ridiculous. And who do the Buffalo Bills have to just swallow up touchdowns? Honest to God, I hate to say this to everybody, but it's the truth. Keon Coleman. Keon Coleman is the red zone touchdown guy, with the exception of your tight ends. Nobody else currently. Keon Coleman has damn near as many touchdowns as any receiver on that team. And he didn't play 5 games. Alec Pierce. Oh, we talked about this, didn't we? Or if we did, no, either way, I'm happy that it's coming up again. I got about 15, 20 minutes before I got to hit it. Maybe I'll get back online afterwards and we can talk about some more. How's that with everybody if you want? But I got to go run to a meeting fast. We're going to pull up Alec Pierce here. Yes, he is an absolute unrestricted free agent at the moment until someone here we go. Alec Pierce, unrestricted free agent. Just finished his rookie deal, if you can see here. So 26 UFA, baby. But here, again, this is Spotrac. Fantastic. Love this website. This is a hypothetical market value. I mean, they know more than I in terms of quickly being able to come out with an answer. But here's where they're pegging Alec Pierce because of the season that he just had. His market value as a free agent. Gosh, bless his soul. What a time to have such a bust-out season. 4-year, $81 million, so his market value being $20 million. So here's my question, okay? Here is my question. Now, he's only, how old is he? He's young, obviously. He's 25. He's 25 years old. In the event, I'm going to leave this here for Alec Pierce, and I'm going to pull up, do we think that Alec Pierce is worth the same amount of money that Terry McLaurin is, if healthy, okay? Keep giving me these healthy things. Or that T. Higgins is, because we're only talking about like within $3 million here, right? Or this gentleman, which is high on the list that we were just talking about a few minutes ago. I'll give it to you in a second. Let me just loading up. Just loading up. This is your boy. Right there, Jalen Waddle. Okay. Average salary of 28.2. However, we'll see this. Year 2026, base salary of $1.25 million. Then it gets into the 24 and the 25 million. So are these guys, is Alec Pierce worth dang near close? I mean, it'd be an extra year, so not really, because there's a lot of signing bonus on the Jalen Waddle end that Alec Pierce probably wouldn't get because he has the 4-year $80,000 designation or market value versus the 3-year $84,000, and that's probably where the difference is. But they're all somewhat close. Is Alec Pierce at this moment in time worth what these elite number ones are worth? I'm going to have to say no. I'm going to have to say no, but someone will pay him. And he'll deserve it, no doubt. He's earned it. I just don't know that I'm there. Although I would love to have a third-round draft pick, according to Dexy here, give me the floor of Alec Pierce. And then, the ceiling of George Pickens is you might as well put the ceiling of, you name it in the NFL, because the season that George Pickens just had was insane. Now, that guy is also a free agent. So before we go on to the next thing, and before I have to literally leave, we're going to pull up George, if I can spell, which I can't. Let's pull up George Pickens and look at his numbers, because he's a free agent as well. Do you see the Bills Roundtable videos about potential salary adjustments? Kevin did the video, and also, yes, actually, no one knows about it, or no bones about it. I'm sorry. I did watch that video. That's what I was mentioning earlier. He came up with $50, $60, $70 million pretty darn quickly with just restructuring some people. If they'll allow it, if they want to do it, but I don't see why they wouldn't. And it's kind of kicking the can down the road a little bit. But like I said, I'm in agreement with that, because if you got to kick some money down the road, but you have a Super Bowl in the next year or two, then so freaking be it. And if Terry Pagula gets mad at it, horrible owner for wins, for winning football games. But yes, I did watch that video, and it was fantastic. And quite honestly, I'm going to come back. I got to go in about 10 minutes now for probably an hour. I'm going to come back online. If everybody, I don't know if you guys are at work or at home, or either way, I appreciate you all being in here. You know that more than anything. Anybody that has been here, please subscribe immediately, like the video, tell all your friends, and follow us on X and Instagram and TikTok. We just need like 100 more TikTok followers, and that way I can get live on TikTok as well. But I can't use this software to push it live multiple places until I get to, I don't know, like 1,000 or something on TikTok, and we're close. So I just need some help there. Anyway, I'm going to come back, and we're going to go through the situational thing with the draft capital and how much money with contracts we can play around with to try to find money. That's a great idea. We're going to do the same thing as Kevin did, with maybe a little twist, but I agree. Okay, so Dexy has talked to a few draft analysts. Wow. Dexy, who are you, bro? You know these guys and ladies? Cool. Good for you. And they agreed that that floor and ceiling. Well, that's fantastic. And if you know these dudes, I'm so happy to have you in here and following us and hanging out, because that's great insight if it's coming from people that are certainly in the know, at least more than me. I don't know what you do or who you are, Dexy, but yeah, I appreciate having you here, because that's a great that is such a good floor. I just kind of spent 5 minutes kind of talking shit about Alec Pierce, and I didn't mean it that way. I love the guy. Solid year. I just don't know that I would pay him as much as some of the other guys we mentioned. You know what I'm saying? But if that's a floor for a third rounder, sign me up. Always like hanging out with y'all and listening to everyone. I'll admit I don't know a whole lot about players, but it's interesting to learn about them. Well, Ethan Davis, I appreciate you having here. I don't know anything about anything either. Oh, shoot. Very cool. We only know, Ethan, what we know, right? I don't have any inside information. Like I said, I was an athlete at one point in time, but it was in the baseball world. I played minor league baseball. But listen, this is just us hanging out. There's a lot of stuff at our fingertips that we can read and look into, try to understand, but none of us actually know, with the exception of maybe Dexy, because listen to this. Dexy is going to school to do what they do, so I'm building my connections for after college. Well, that's freaking awesome. Congratulations. What school, if you don't mind? And sports management? Is that kind of where I would think? And that wouldn't happen to be St. John's Fisher or Cortland University, would it? If you are, I don't even know where you're from. Where's everybody from? Everybody, type in the comments where you're from, because we did this before, and we had some people I think in the Carolinas, maybe out on the West Coast. I want to kind of get an understanding of where everybody's hanging out from. I'm upstate New York, not quite in Buffalo, but a couple hours east, central New York, Finger Lakes to be exact. And I do know that a couple of colleges close to us are very, very good or very well known for sports management. Oh, very cool. All right, so you're close, Dexy. You know where we are, bro. I'm in Schuyler County, like Watkins Glen area. Horseheads, Elmira. Not far, hour and a half from you. Very cool, though. I know a lot of people that went to Syracuse. I actually probably would have went to Syracuse, but they don't have a baseball team. So that's obviously an enormous school in upstate New York. Everyone loves that. Spidey, Chattanooga, Dexy. Oh, you're from Tennessee and you're up here. Oh, that is so cool. Man, good for you. Congratulations, Dexy. I wish you all the best in that. I hope it works out. You know what you need to do? I have a good friend of mine whose son is in Rochester at St. John's Fisher doing the same thing, sports management, and he plays on their football team. And he is this close to trying to get his internship for this summer upcoming with the Buffalo Bills, actually. And he's not even a Bills fan. They're Eagles fans, believe it or not. Okay. I don't know how I'm best friends with them. But they're Eagles fans, and he's trying to get an internship with the Bills because he's doing the same thing that you did. I mean, he was playing football as well, but he's in school for sports management. And Syracuse and Buffalo, like 3 hours, not bad, right? Not horrible. Tennessee, that's so cool. Ethan, Kentucky, that's right. Yep, very cool. Well, listen, everybody, I appreciate you. I am going to hit it because I have this meeting that I have to take care of about an investment that we're doing. So I got to get out and drive a couple minutes down the road and figure that out. But I think I'm going to come back. I don't have much planned at all today. I'm going to do this and come back. And if everybody's still available, why don't we open up this? I'm going to pull this up just to show you. What's it called? Shoot, I forgot. Oh, here we go. Okay, I'm just going to show you what this is. Share this instead. So we're going to be pulling this up hopefully a little later. Yep. I don't know exactly how long it's going to take me, but we're going to pull this up. And this is basically a salary cap. You can play around with it. And we can extend players, we can cut players, we can do whatever we want with it. And it'll show us how much room we create, how much room we'll lose, what it'll do for the next few years. And based on what we think would happen or could happen or will happen or whatever, we can kind of get a better understanding. It's just like your mock drafts. And it's just, what do they call it? The playoff machine on ESPN, your simulation, your simulator. So, we'll probably come back and hit some of that because Kevin did do that, and I saw that, and it was fascinating how quickly he came up with some money with some moves that didn't really seem all that egregious. So yeah, we'll take a look. I'll see you and everybody a little later. Appreciate you. Subscribe if you haven't. Like the video, and talk to everybody soon. Cold front.